paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, that's downright refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
Well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Brainstorm Brewery here with a very special episode this week. I got myself, Cass Lynn, your other host, DJ, and our illustrious guest, Jason Alt.
I'm a guest. I'm a guest. Guest Demetrius.
I always want to listen to like one episode of the top 30 most listened to podcasts and then run a lengthy bit of just doing their intros. But I just haven't put forth the effort yet, and now I'm kind of showing how the sausage gets made, so it's all just going to be for naught.
We can just do that. We can just tell people the joke is coming and then do the joke, and if they have a problem with it, they can listen to a different podcast. But they're not gonna. They love us too much. We're too likable.
That's true.
If you're still listening to this podcast, what can we say to make you go away? Nothing.
It's true.
I mean,
You're listening to this podcast is pathological at this point.
we can get Corbin to put 88 back in his Twitter handle.
Unalienating half your listeners.
But Corbin is not here, which means that the children will run free or something. I don't know. Whatever the metaphor is that he was going to get mad at me about. I try to intentionally sabotage metaphors for Corbin, but he's not here, so it's not as fun.
The evil has been defeated.
He died.
He's dead again. Corbin's dead.
Every time Corbin's not here, you say he died, but you don't have a good joke ready. You do the same thing every time, but you're still not prepared.
No,
Just write a
because we
bit.
don't do
Isn't that Jason? Isn't
bit.
that at its core Brainstorm Brewery? We've been here for 12 years. We're the One Piece of podcasts. You know what you're gonna get when you sign up to watch One Piece. There's no plot twist.
No one here, Cass, DJ, me, nobody here is responsible for the stupid name this podcast has. Why don't we change it?
To what?
I'm fine for going full Silicon Valley and just renaming it to BSB, but not having it mean anything.
BSB would be, that'd be good. Maybe we just go
So,
by BSB.
Like, what does that stand for? Oh, it's like, it's like the Patreon logo. It's ephemeral. It's always changing. Like,
We can't do this. Over 50% of our affiliate sales on Coalesce Apparel and Design, who are sponsored by, are because people just want to buy a shirt with the word Brainstorm on it.
That
We
is
have
true.
to be called Brainstorm Brewery.
I
know this because people come into my store with the shirt with my face on it. And I'm just like, hey, nice shirt. They're like, thanks. I just like brainstorms. And I'm like... And they don't get it.
They don't believe
What's the point of being on a t-shirt if they don't give me attention?
I think I might have told this on the podcast before, but at the SCG Syracuse, I did the same thing where some guy just had a BSB hoodie on. I was like, hey man, nice hoodie. What, why'd you get it? He's like, oh, my mom's a neurosurgeon and it has a brain on it. Just...
Brainstorm Brewery, best marketing decision ever. Whoever came
Why
up
aren't
with that,
we selling to more neurosurgeons?
we're really big in the neurosurgeon community, actually.
We should be selling like knit caps and masks and all kind of stuff. Scrubs. We should have BSB scrubs, baby. Can you imagine a giant logo on your back when you go into like do a delicate surgery on somebody's prefrontal cortex for 16 hours without a break? You're
You can
fucking
actually
rock
also
star.
purchase. You can purchase Brainstorm Brewery brand Scrub Up, antibacterial. It smells like freshly opened booster packs.
Brainstorm Brewery brand IV drips for all those rich people in Vegas.
That's true. We actually also have Brainstorm Brewery branded Blood Boys. DJ will show up to your house and give you a blood transfusion. He's very fit. He exercises.
Boys. Actual Brainstorm Brewery brew. It's just it's just a beer.
Brainstorm Brewery Bud, after we receive our lifetime supply of marijuana from Jason, Colorado. Listen to the After Hours for the background on that one. We're going to be promoting.
Okay.
We're going to be rich.
This is already a better episode of a general podcast, but not a good episode of Brainstorm Brewery, which I'm fine with.
Every week we go to like arrange a time to do the podcast. I'm like, what if we just never do it again? What if we just do something different?
What if we just...
I think that every week.
What if we did a startup?
You know,
What if we
every
did
week, yeah, I think about that on Tuesday when my package from Factor comes in. Factor is pre-frozen meals that are for your busy lifestyle or something. It's just TV dinners. How the you got a subscription for TV dinners? You fat? Are you kidding?
You know,
it's not a meal service.
I'm someone who likes to get a lot of sugar in my diet. I like desserts. I'm a sweet hound. But that means that when I go to have my breakfast cereal, I can't eat too much sugar. And to that, I turn to Magic Spoon, the sugarless breakfast cereal made with plant protein.
Delicious. I like
Delicious.
the Fruities the best. They don't taste like fruit or sugar, but they give me $3,000 a month, so here we are.
Brainstorm Brewery, brought to you by Soylent Green. We ground up Corbin into a meat grinder.
But they made a thing called Soylent already.
And it's like pretty good, apparently. I never tried it. I've heard it tastes like paper.
They made a thing called Soylent based on the 70s book or movie or whatever, Soylent. That whole thing. The guy who made it in 2012 based it off the like post-apocalyptic thing.
Yeah. Tech bros love sci-fi that they didn't understand.
We get to base everything off of Charlton Heston sci-fi movies. Planet
It's
of
like-
the Apes brand lab equipment, Omega Man branded ring baloney. It's happening. We are gonna make all of the Charlton Heston movies.
This came up recently, actually, for me. I was talking to somebody who asked me what the word grok means, so I said something was grockable. And I explained to them it's from, I think, Heinlein's story, Stranger in a Strange Land, which is about a human who was raised on Mars by Martians through some circumstance, and then comes back to Earth and is understanding Earth. And in the Martian language, to grok something means to drink it, or to, like, you know, the metaphor meaning is to understand it, to really grasp it, and to love it, and to be one with
put it
it.
inside yourself.
Yeah, to
Physically and
become one with it.
metaphorically.
And so the AI bot on Twitter.com being called grok is so f***ing funny to me. Because it is none of those things. Again, tech bros love sci-fi stories they didn't understand.
What a
Brainstorm
dork.
Brewery, brought to you by Rob Reinhardt, the only man who ate an entire diet of just Little Caesars pizza because he figured out that it had the best caloric intake to dollar value.
That's science, baby.
That's the history of Soylent, is he was like, man, you know what I hate? Eating.
Chewing.
That joyous activity that brings humans together with lots of flavor. That takes away from my time
into
calories. Typing into a software engine. So you know what? I'm a poor college student. I need to figure out the best dollar to caloric value. He figured out it was Little Caesars pizza. He ate just that for an entire week. He's like, I'm going to die. And then he made Soylent. Like, that's the story.
You know? You gotta respect the hustle. You also do not have to respect the hustle in that regard.
It's the
Little Caesars
Detroit
pizza
Red Wings
sucks.
of pizza. It is. People said it's gotten good lately, but there's a reason that the Detroit Red Wings are sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza. And it's because that's who they are as a team.
Have y'all ever had Wild Mike's Ultimate Pizza?
No, but it sounds excellent, and I want to now.
It's a frozen pizza brand that, like, the pizzas are twice as big as any other frozen pizza.
Yeah, you got
They're like half
Wild.
the price. They used to be half the price. And they're just like a plain cheese pizza. You can put your own toppings on, but they also come with like a seasoning packet and like a red pepper flake packet. And they used to be like $6 for a pizza that was twice as big as any, like a Tombstone was twice as big as one of those. And they just taste like cardboard. But it is the ultimate pizza if your goal is to eat a lot of pizza, regardless of how good it is.
I think you forgot to take that comes on a slice of cardboard. You gotta
I took
push
that
it off of the cardboard.
Trust me. I've eaten a lot of Wild Mike's Ultimate Pizzas, you motherfucker. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. It's a lot of value.
Like cardboard and cellophane. It says remove pizza from box and place in oven. Goodness, Wild Mike.
You know what else is made of cardboard and kind of edible? Magic cards.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, breaking bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
That was not the worst.
This fun
segue.
riff was broken up by the breaking bulk segment.
Who wants to break some bulk?
That riff was on a decline. That was. I put a bow on that. Mine is.
Hang on, I'm not looking at the screen.
Why do you need to? You diva.
I'm not at my mark yet.
All right.
I have an Hour of Devastation gold uncommon.
Is it the spider?
Fuck.
Obelisk spider, maybe, is what it's called?
Yeah,
Good one,
I
DJ.
came in loose today.
Yeah.
Obelisk. Obelisk Spider, uncommon from Hour Devastation, has one other printing and mystery booster. It's like close to 50 cents. Card Kingdom really wants the mystery booster version. They'll pay you 30 cents on them.
It's the card from that set that you pick out of bulk, isn't it? There's a couple more, like Firebrand Archer and shit, but for the most part...
For the most part, it's
one of the better ones. I know that card really well because I used to order a lot of cards from Korea, and all the Korean vendors, their thing was if you bought, like, a Verdant Catacombs, they would throw in, like, a black card, and a green card, and a black-green card that was bulk in Korean.
Oh, nice.
And I got, like, 4 Obelisk Spiders in a row, purchasing cards for my Yawgmoth deck. And I didn't know what the card did, and I like had to look up the collector number, and I was like, this card sucks. And then I realized it's very good in Commander, and I own 4 Korean Obelisk Spiders I'll never play with. That's how I knew it. And that was your mistake, DJ, was picking a card that I was randomly sent 4 times by Koreans.
You made an Ishkana deck.
I sure do.
Well, perhaps this card was in that same deck, because it is a War of the Spark black common.
Jason's gonna pick a card that we Ish cannot pick.
War of the Spark black common?
Kaya's Ghost Form.
Well, that's disappointing.
We're all here to be disappointed.
Is that it?
None of us got any of them last week. It was
last week we all stumped each other.
hard.
This week, but then Cass is gonna be like, "Oh, I have a card that was printed 2 weeks ago. Get fucked!" And me and Jason are gonna lose our minds.
I have a
for different
Phyrexia.
reasons.
I have a Phyrexia. All will be one blue common.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I don't know. Okay, here's the thing. I'm going to open up Scryfall.
Nope.
No. I'm not going to look at the price. I'm going to look at the cards, not the price at all. The cards and the card name, and try to figure out what
if
it
you
is.
get this,
based
I'm
on
not
that.
counting it.
That's fine.
I don't want to play this game anymore. You can't name cards that came out after I quit.
This card's good. This card's seeing play.
In
Standard.
Did you say common or uncommon?
Common. Let me, like, double check to make sure I'm not misleading you. Nope, common. And I can actually explain to you why this common over certain other ones are worth something.
Oh, it's played in Standard.
Well, there are other
Remember
cards that are
Standard?
also played in
Yeah,
Standard.
I mean, like, I am looking at Phyrexia All Be One Blue Commons
This
right now,
draws a
and I'm
card.
going to see if I can actually guess it. I don't know most of the cards in this set, just offhand. If you're like, oh, DJ, do you have any, like, Trawler Drake? I'll be like, I don't know what that is.
Is Trawler Drake a real card?
Yeah, I'm looking at Phyrexia All Be One Commons. I'm going to guess Bring the Ending, the counterspell?
No, but that card is one of the cards in that deck, but it's not worth as much because it was in both of the blue Jumpstart decks for that set.
I would be interested to see what Card Kingdom
It is Experimental Augury. You don't get any points for that.
That's
DJ,
fine.
look up Card Kingdom's buy list on this.
Experimental Augury does not have a strong buy list. It's only 8 cents on CK buy list, but it has a
8
TCG
cents? That's above our 5 cents. I was hoping it was 4 cents so I could get you with a technicality.
Market price is like 85 cents, though. Like, this is
Look
an
at the
actual
direct
card you
price,
list.
though. Look at
This
the
is an
direct
actual card
price.
you list.
The direct net after fees and everything is like 50 cents. This card was only in one of the Jumpstart decks as a common, and it's just a 2-mana Impulse and Proliferate. Or Anticipate and Proliferate. There's a Bant Toxic deck in Standard that just tries to get you like 6 or so poison counters, then proliferate
and
a few
just
times.
proliferate. Ooh.
And this just keeps the proliferation rolling. The deck kind of picked up a couple weeks ago. It was really good against the Domain Ramp decks, and then people sort of corrected, and the Domain Ramp decks kind of figured out how to beat it. But yeah, Experimental Augury. Several dollars on TCG Direct.
Several dollars!
The points don't matter, Cass. I'm Brennan
They
Lee
do to
Mulligan,
me.
and you're...
So I'm Brennan Lee Mulligan. I'm the one who cares about the points, even though they don't matter. At best, you're Zach Oyama. At best.
Is somebody tracking
dude.
these points? We should make the intern track them. Because I'm not eligible. I'm on here every week. It's good.
We have only begun to unravel this sweater. It's a little joke for me and DJ. Don't worry about it.
I assume he's seen the show.
I don't think Jason has.
You think I watch when I'm not here?
No, not our
No,
show.
not Brainstorm Brewery. I'm asking.
Do you watch Dropout?
Let's drop out.
It's College
It's a
Humor's new
streaming
thing.
service.
Their streaming service.
Oh. No.
There's a show called Game Changer, which is like kind of like Who's Line, but the rules of it change every week. It's like a different improv game.
Oh.
With the College Humor guys. Really good stuff. It's like the cheapest streaming service relative to the quality. Oh, I like it.
A College Humor streaming service.
I gave them like $50 after seeing a bunch of their YouTube shorts for free, and now I'm very happy because I've been binging it.
It's $50 for a year, I think, and like they have a show that's like improv Shakespearean theater, improv musical theater. They have like a show where it's like Foley artists doing improv.
Foley artists. Nice.
They actually got.
What is this, NPR?
They actually got
This
was
is
it
Prairie
Jason
Home
Winslow.
Companion.
Who's the guy from Police Academy? Is Jason Winslow?
Michael Winslow.
Or Michael Winslow. They got Michael Winslow for one of the seasons during COVID when they did Zoom episodes. They got him for one of the episodes of Make Some Noise. They got Giancarlo Esposito for an episode during COVID.
Yeah,
his internet connection was really bad and it was tragic.
Oh no.
Yeah. No. Drop. This is an unsponsored segment on the podcast. Get Dropout and watch it because you're worth it.
Get CISO. Oh. CISO was $4 a month, and people are like, nah. All we get is every comedy podcast and a bunch of stand-up. No thanks. There was actually only one comic who recorded a CISO special.
Oh, wow.
Well, Jason, you know what else is $4 a month?
Being a $2 patron twice at patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery, which is $1
No,
or 80 cents
no.
an episode.
1/13 of a Brainstorm Brewery hoodie if you use our gift code Brainstorm Brewery at Coalesce Apparel Design.
I'm wearing a Coalesce EDH Rec t-shirt right now. You can buy EDH Rec and Brainstorm Brewery and Casual Magic still probably, and Ristic Studies and all your favorite things. Get a Jim Davis hockey jersey. I ordered one a year ago.
Consider it, if you think about it like a Kmart layaway, which I know our listeners are old enough to understand, that is like a Coalesce hoodie. It's very, very nice. Just like a Kmart product. It's...
Not doing a lot for odds of getting picked up again for the sponsorship there, Geej.
It's just like a Kmart layaway. You put a little bit of money down, you put your $4 in a cookie jar, and you do that every month for 13 months.
Mm-hmm.
Then you take that, you bring it to a bank, because you can't buy a Coalesce hoodie with cash unless you go to an event, which you could. And then you take your little piggy bank, you smash it in front of Cedric, and then he counts up all the quarters and he gives you a hoodie.
Here's the other method of getting a Coalesce
hoodie.
Apparel Design shirt. So what we're going to do is we're going to buy a whole bunch of land. And on that land, we're going to grow pot. Then we're going to sell the pot for money. And then we're going to use that money to buy t-shirts, which we're then going to sell the t-shirts to buy more land.
To buy
JJ,
more...
Just overlay the Always Sunny theme slowly rising in volume as Cass does that.
Fade into like the gang opens a dispensary. That's the theme of this. That's the name of this episode. Is the gang opens a dispensary.
The gang gets free pot.
The gang gets free pot. There's a sign near me.
My name isn't Jason, Colorado. My name is Jason, and then in parentheses, the state I'm from.
About 15 or 20 minutes away from me, when I was driving home one time, I saw a sign that said free mulch on it. And my first thought was like, what did he do wrong? What did mulch do wrong?
Let mulch out of jail. He put his wife through a wood chipper, okay? So I know. I'm thinking what you're all thinking. What did she say?
Laugh track.
I've never put my wife through a wood chipper. But
Yeah.
I don't have a wood chipper.
Woodchipper, I hardly know her.
That's the
Woodchipper, I
thing,
sure
that's
hope
like-
it does.
People are like, a wood chipper will make my home safer, but statistically, you're way more likely to be killed by a wood chipper if you have a wood chipper in the home. All it does is make you less safe.
Now listen,
Are you
Jason.
thinking, if Steve Buscemi from Fargo attacks, what do I do? Well, that's not going to happen.
The only way to stop a bad guy with a wood chipper is a good guy with a wood chipper.
With an even bigger wood chipper? With a wood chipper chipper?
I keep a wood chipper under my pillow at night for self-defense. And if somebody breaks into my house, I will invoke the castle doctrine and throw them in my wood chipper.
That's great, but
Feet
what if you
first.
come home and your kids are playing with the wood chipper and they accidentally chip their friend?
Well, I keep the safety on. I keep it like locked away. It's also on me at all times. Like, I'm not leaving it at home when I'm gone. I live in an open carry state.
You're just wheeling it into a subway.
No, I put a
Just
saddle on it and
just
ride it around, you jack.
Opening both double doors wide, chalking them, and just pushing his wood chipper into the subway.
You just feed the sandwich into it, open your mouth, and wait at the other end.
You know, if you want to
Sir,
make eating more efficient.
would you like it? Would you like the cucumbers sliced, or would you like us just throw whole cucumbers into the wood chipper?
We invented Soylent. How many times do you need to feed your Subway sandwich to a wood chipper before it becomes a nutrient paste that looks like cum?
How many times do you have to come into a wood chipper before it looks like a Subway sandwich?
Seems less likely.
Anything is possible on God's earth, Jason.
What if I put a salad through the wood chipper backwards? Will like a full head of lettuce come out? I need to know.
Really hard.
Reverse wood chipper. What if you put mulch in a wood chipper? Does it spit out a tree limb?
If you turn it into a liquid, it becomes a 2D printer.
What is a paper mill if not a reverse wood chipper?
That's a good point. You're turning chips into a solid stack of wood, so there you go.
It's true. If you get enough paper, you compress it hard enough, that's just wood. That's just wood again.
It's just wood, baby.
We can build wood. We have the technology. Y'all want to talk about the new Magic the Gathering set?
No, certainly
We have to do it.
Nobody was putting a wood chipper at Karlov Manor, and that would be a cool murder mystery.
The case of the wood chipped elf.
All right. I am Alquist Proft. I want everybody to step forward who is forklift certified.
What?
They're probably also wood chip certified. I don't know. That's a Venn diagram this close, I think.
They have magic spells that can kill people. Why would they have a wood chipper? Wouldn't you just be a wood chipping wizard?
You know, spoiler alert for anybody who doesn't know what happens in Murders of Karlov Manor. Spoiler now.
There's a murder.
A wood chipper would have helped stop the murder, is all I'm saying.
Listen, I have a wood chipper. I've never been murdered. Okay,
we've gone.
She
full
didn't have a wood chipper. She was murdered.
Ravnica started where you like pet the dog or whatever, and the final boss is shoving Tristani in a wood chipper. You're killing God with a power tool. That's full JRPG arc.
Listen, I kind of want to kill Tristani because the second one says gain control of all permanents you own, and that's bullshit. I want control of the permanents you own, not you.
Real quick. Okay, so this is a totally unrelated story, but one of the coolest plays ever made at the Pro Tour. So this is Pro Tour Philadelphia, like the first modern Pro Tour. Like Cloud Post was legal, Rite of Flame was legal, Blazing Shoal was legal, all that.
Like
one of the best decks was
2008. You're talking
2011, I think, 2012.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Modern just been released. The newest set was like New Phyrexia, I think.
Yes.
Or it was M12 because M12 was the draft format. But one of the ways people figured out to win against the Cloud Post decks was to play Bribery, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the Bribery deck, so the Cloud Post deck started playing Brooding Saurian, 4 of them in the sideboard. But what happened was, if your opponent Bribery you, they could just look through your deck, and if they saw all 4 Brooding Saurians, they just wouldn't take an Emrakul. Or they could take an Emrakul. If they saw there was only like 2, they'd be like, oh, you have some in your hand. So the players with Brooding Saurians just started boarding in only 3. So their opponents would think there was one in their hand, so they wouldn't take the Emrakul. So they would just like take an elf or something. And they just didn't need to have the Brooding Saurian in their hand.
It's amazing.
I think he used to write for TCG player, Adam something. He was one who top 8 of that Pro Tour, did that on camera, and it was so
Adam
cool.
Yurchik, I think?
Yeah, Adam Yurchik, yep. Yeah. It was so awesome.
He's a Michigan guy.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Thinking about getting
That's
your permits,
RIW
made me think
tech,
of that.
I think. That's great.
Yeah.
Which lets us talk about the history of Magic prices going back to roughly the era of Pro Tour Philadelphia. That's what MTG Stocks does. It gives you all that data going back to around 2012-ish, around a Return to Ravnica release, which was like 1 million years ago, and you have so much data to use on MTG Stocks. You can sign up for the premium, you can get your price alerts. Price alerts to your phone are really handy if you're a small-time Magic player who doesn't have a lot of cards to keep track of, and you're just like, I just want to know if these specific specs hit off. I've bought a few one-rows of this card, and I just want to know when it crosses the threshold so I can pop them online. Quick, simple, easy. MTG Stocks is your go-to for all this data, including the data that I use for my fun little game that I invented last week. Cass, are you aware of our fun little game that I invented last week?
I am not. I don't listen to this podcast.
No, nor should you. None of us do, anyway. This is a game I called Pick of the Peak. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a card name.
Okay.
And you're going to guess what the peak price of that card was, according to MTG Stocks. Give me a number.
Okay.
like
How close do I have to be to win?
3 cents.
The points
That's how
don't
we did it
matter,
last
but
week.
really they do. So I guess like within a couple bucks, I don't know.
Okay.
I said $45.96 for Smothering Tithe, and I was wrong. It was $45.99.
No, you were close.
That's a win.
Doesn't matter. The card number 1 of the week is Leyline of the Void from Guild Pack. What is this card's historical peak?
$36.
$55 is what I'm going to say.
Jason?
36.
I'm going to guess $55 during the year 2019 also.
Cass is pretty close. We peaked at $49.70, and
Goodness.
like during the year 2019, you got spot on.
Arclight Phoenix, Hogak.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Also, like the year before it got reprinted like 6 times. It was
Yeah.
quick spiral into the $10 range a year later.
Surgical Extraction's graph looks pretty similar for that year. Where it got
Almost
really
50
expensive
on
for
a card
Arclight.
with that many printings is bonkers.
Yeah.
All right, the next one. I like these because I get to pick like 2 very unrelated cards. Gisela the Broken Blade. This is the Eldritch Moon Gisela that flips into the Brusilda or whatever her name is.
Is this the mythic or the rare?
Mythic?
$39.99 is my guess, because that card was played in Standard briefly.
$40 for a standard mythic? I'm sure that was normal to me back in the day when I was playing FNMs.
That might be like what SCG price was, like
That
the full
doesn't
retail
sound...
price.
I want to say that peaked at like 35.
Jason is closer. It was 31.13.
Okay.
And that was last year.
I'm glad
actually.
you went first. Yours seemed high. Last year?
Yeah, during this card's entire tenure at Standard, it barely hit 10. And then 2021, it spiked very hard right before Strixhaven. And then it got a reprint in something, I believe. And then it went down to around 20. And then last year it was hit 30 again. Got another reprint in a Secret Lair Angels.
Everyone's trying to make Brucella in Pioneer.
Now it is... So this one's interesting. It's actually creeping back up. So very recently it went back down to 15 from 30, cut its price in half over the past year, and it is climbing.
Are there 3 copies for sale? Like, is that what's going on here?
Well, it got reprinted last year, and I think it's just like that card doesn't... The kind of person who buys that card doesn't sell it. They just like buy it and keep it forever. It was in the Angels pre-con, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like a card that just casuals buy and don't sell. Also, I distinctly remember that card being $30 in display cases at events in that era.
Sure.
I think that just might be like, that was what you did when you had we were SCG and you had the only vendor in the room was you.
Yeah, but
that was a crazy thing for everything.
She's on her way back up after her Secret Lair Commander deck reprint, so...
Okay.
Good to know.
That's 60 card casual players doing that, probably.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had to guess.
I actually have both of these for my factory sealed Garth deck, where every card is sealed in the Commander plastic, or pre-release plastic. The fun part...
Could you
of
use
those,
one of these? I just busted this today.
I am good, but I appreciate it.
You don't want Tarian Soul Cleaver, but it can give your Garth Vigilance.
He already... No, he doesn't come with Vigilance, but...
No, he doesn't. You could attack and then make a Disenchant.
So, the cool
Crawworm,
thing
I
about
think,
my
right?
Bruna and Gisela is if you flip them over to meld them, they just have zombie tokens in the back, because every Eldritch Moon card had a zombie token on the back.
Yeah.
So
and
they
with
turn
that
into
Dead
2 zombies?
Silence, we move into... You get it? The zombie, the Dead Silence?
He can cut
Oh, the undead silence would have been funnier.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
zombies make noise.
Brain,
We're
I want
coming
brain.
to get you, Barbara.
Well, does anybody have any brain dead thoughts about Karlov Manor? Not Markov Manor, Karlov Manor.
Why is there no Magic the Gathering clue set? There's Clue Magic the Gathering. Why is there no Magic the Gathering clue?
You mean like a secret layer with like actual clue characters
No,
on
like
it?
a fucking clue
No, the
board
other
with
way
Magic
around.
characters
He wants
instead
the
of...
Clue board game with...
I'm sure
Yeah,
we'll get it.
I would buy that.
I'm sure we'll get it.
They're worried about Hasbro not selling, right? They're worried about Hasbro. That would help Hasbro. Magic
Sure.
the Gathering Clue, do a limited special edition. Do 2,000 of them.
Include like a special promo of a Magic card as like a throw-in with alternate art.
Yeah.
It's a
Sell
free
it
roll.
for $200. My whaley ass would absolutely buy that.
I'm going to make a call about Karlov Manor, and y'all can quote me on this and tell me how right or wrong I was later.
Okay.
War Leader's Call is the best card in the set. The second best card in the set is the Thraben Inspector reprint. For those not in the know, War Leader's Call is an enchantment for red, white, and a colorless. It's a rare. It says creatures you control get +1/+0. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you'll deal 1 damage to each opponent, I believe. So the thing about this card
Yeah, tell me.
is there's already a red-white Convoke deck that's pretty good. Plays Lethal Demolition, like the Knight Errant of Eos, like Imodane's Recruiter, just like tokens and pumping. It slices, it dices in that deck. There's a Soldier's deck that sometimes splashes red that also wants to be doing this. And there's a couple of cards in Standard that are like red X, make X tokens with haste. Like Totentaz's Song from Wilds of Eldraine. If you play this card on turn 3 and then Totentaz's Song on 4, that's 9 damage from your 4-drop. Because that's 3 2/2s with haste and deals 3 damage. Scale it up a turn, that's even more. This is the card that gives the token decks that are like weak to sweepers the reach they need to win games.
Yeah, because it lets you chip them those last few damage away just by playing a creature you can't attack with. I like it.
Right. And if the creatures have haste, even better. I am super hot on this card. I'm brewing with this card on day 1.
Twice as many people are playing Demand Answers and Aurelia the Law Above as are playing War Leader's Call currently in EDH, but that could all change.
I think the card doesn't scale as well in EDH because there's just so many good anthems, but I think like it's definitely a card you put in every red-white token deck. Like this card with the Symbol of the Legion, my god.
Yeah.
It's Impact Tremors and Glorious Anthem on one card.
This is this is an insane card.
Yeah.
Okay. Best card
Slime
in the
Against
set.
Humanity. We have historical precedent for what Slime Against Humanity is going to do to, you know, what it's going to be worth itself. Whether you should buy foils, yes. Whether you should sell foils, no. I saw people talking about cards that scale based on the number of cards in your graveyard with the same name when you play it. Nothing green currently, but if they do a white one, I think there are some cards that could be in play. But for right now, Slime Against Humanity just kind of seems like it reminds
has a relevant
people
piece of text.
Cards. What's that?
It says Graveyard or Exile. So you can Surgical Extraction 20 of these out of your deck and then play one to make a massive creature.
That's a good point.
I did sell out of Locket of Yesterdays recently, which is
That's
a card.
sweet.
A card that I have always loved from Time Spiral. I mean, it's not a pick, or at least it wasn't a pick until very recently, but I used to pick these out of bulk back when I handpicked bulk like 8 years ago. I would still pick these because I thought like there's one day this will be a thing. And this is the kind of card that I love to no end, is the weird niche card that has 0 applications but like a lot of design potential. This and like anything with Aura Swap I've always been a fan of. Stuff like Necrotic Ooze that will just constantly build on itself as they explore more design space. And like, yeah, Locket of Yesterday's looks like it's really, really bad in Commander until they print enough cards that you can play 30 of one copy.
Right. Also, so when that card when Urza Saga got printed, I went and bought like a playset of foil Locket of Yesterday's. I'm like, this card's gonna be good. And it wasn't, but it was almost good in like an Eggs deck with Urza Saga, and that's just like that's the kind of card that has unbound potential. It's like Ground Rift was. It's like Niv Magus Elemental. Like, you're probably never going to get paid off on it, but maybe.
But
and that's
if
what
you do, yeah.
That's the fun part about speccing on stuff. Like, if you're just speccing to, like, make a couple bucks, there's a million other ways to make money. If you're doing it to have fun and maybe make a couple bucks, this is the kind of spec I'm into.
Well,
it's not strictly a pick, but, like, maybe.
Well, there are some cards that are $20 pre-orders right now that are pretty hot, but there's some cards in those same decks that are, you know, a little less expensive, and I think those are the ones that have room to grow. I don't think Trouble in Pairs is going to stay $15 on Card Kingdom, 27 on TCG Player. I think it's selling out at 15 on Trouble in Pairs.
I think I've seen some people say it's like the best white commander card since Smothering Tide, but I don't necessarily buy it.
I mean, the first line of text is nearly irrelevant.
I love monologue tax a lot, and nobody else seems to, and I'm not sure if I should be excited about this because I feel like people will tell me the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, Take the Bait's nearly $20, so that's another red-white card.
Sure.
You know, so it kind of feels like maybe some of these precons will be worth quite a bit. The red, green, white one, for example, seems to have the most money. Feather, Descana, a bunch of $5, $8 cards. So, yeah, we'll see. The new Feather looks cool. I wouldn't build around it, but like it looks like a card that goes in decks.
Getting this version of Necromancy will be worth a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's an insane.
Is the accurate rules text?
It has the accurate rules text. It has a set that has the word commander in it for search engine purposes. Like,
ooh, true.
The only other printing of the card is from Visions from 1990 whatever. And
and that doesn't have the colored expansion symbol.
And I mean the art, I'm not to discredit the artist or anything, but like the art doesn't match with art that people want nowadays for their decks in Magic.
Yeah.
Like the
I like
border,
the art,
frame,
but I get it.
Like everything about this version of Necromancy, I believe the Eternal Masters version of Animate Dead acted very, very similarly, because that was the first printing of that card since like 5th edition or something stupid, and the Eternal Masters one back then sold way, way, way better than any old border, white border version of Animate Dead, and this version of Necromancy will be very similar, I think.
I buy that. Necromancy has... Animate Dead has the small advantage of occasionally selling in playsets.
Sure.
Because Reanimator's like the best budget legacy deck, so you probably actually sell playsets of them. But I think that's like a very marginal difference. You'll sell 4 times as many Necromancies because it's more well known for Commander and more recent anyways. Yeah. But just worth noting that that's a thing to think about. My other pick for this set is another 3-mana white card, actually. It's Delny Streetwise Lookout. It's a mythic. It's already very expensive, so probably not worth buying in early. But if you open some, maybe hold on to them, because I think this card's really strong. Doubling the triggered abilities from 2 power or less creatures on a creature that also gives your 2 power or less creatures evasion is really good. In Standard alone, it doubles the trigger on Rona untap, Inti. There was some other creature that it worked with that was really, really crazy.
I just look at this card and I see like Blood Artists 5 through 8.
Oh yeah, I mean it doubles Blood Artist triggers, right?
Not even like in a standard setting, like copies 5 through 8, or like your second place that. No, you're already playing 4 different Blood Artists in your deck, and this is all of them again.
Right. Yeah, any creature that's 2 mana or less that has like any triggered ability of any kind. It's just it's
kind of, but like you're gonna get to a point where like you don't play Blood Artist. Because Blood Artist doesn't hit every opponent like Zulaport.
But like you know what I mean. There are versions of Blood Artists that do.
But honestly, I think that like we are going to make the worst one obsolete. So if you're better than the worst one, that matters too.
Right. Well, this one is as good as your best one, right? At all times.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, doubler effects, copy effects are always really popular, and this card just kind of like does 2 things at once. In a club that didn't actually have a lot of that, I guess.
There are certainly a lot of clone effects now that will clone the legendary aspect of a card too. So you can have 5 Delnies and 1 whatever you're trying to do and then go off. But you're right. It is, the card itself is very expensive to start out with.
Yeah, but just keep an eye on that one. Like if you see cheap copies or if it dips below a certain price that you're comfortable with, like this card's very strong, I think.
Yeah, there's I don't know. It's gonna be a pretty wild couple of sets of cards for Commander, but it just seems like the red stuff's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Prisoner's Dilemma is another card I'm looking at.
That's cute. That's a cute.
I like that card. Yeah.
Well, I like doing that kind of in EDH, right?
I also like that it's the dilemma of the prisoners, not prisoner's dilemma. Like they put the apostrophe in a different spot.
Yeah, I did not notice that.
It's possessive of the prisoners, the dilemma.
It's one prisoner's dilemma, not multiple prisoners' dilemma.
Yeah, which is like so charming.
Cass, tell me what you think of these standard lands. The temples that surveil.
Here's what my whole thought on them is. At some point in the not too distant future, maybe next Saturday, probably October, realistically, there's going to be a standard rotation. And the triomes are going to leave standard.
Oh,
the Capenna triomes. And these are going to be the only way to enable domain for one of the best cards in standard, Leyline Binding. Worth noting. The other thing worth noting on these is if you read the Collecting Karlov Manor article, these are in 1 out of every 6 play boosters, one of these lands. Guaranteed. 1 in 6.
That's so many.
Yeah, I might have misread that. We can double check.
Are these going to be
that.
$1 then? Because like I remember like
they're going to be dirt.
Maybe temples were 2 or something like
that. The phrase "guaranteed" when it comes to like seeding in packs and RNG does feel a little weird. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that like that's something we haven't heard of since like every pack has a like. Dragon's Maze, I believe, had some weird thing with Shocklands where it's like 1 in 10 or something like that. But
let me read you.
If they're guaranteeing it, they're probably putting their thumb on the scale, Baker's dozen style, because like to not be legally liable, they're probably over adding.
So in a play booster, you get 6 to 7 commons, 3 uncommons, 1 rare or mythic, 1 basic land, 1 traditional foil card of any rarity, 1 art card. 1 in 8 boosters have the list card which replaces a common. And then there's a wild card slot. And it says, wild card that can be a drop of any rarity. 1 in 6 play boosters will have one of the 10 rare dual lands in this slot. That will be one of the 10 regular rare dual lands 14.58% of the time, or borderless 2.08% of the time. In addition to the rare dual lands and regular commons, uncommons, rares, mythic rares, the slot can include a card with a Showcase Magnified, Showcase Dossier, borderless, or Ravnica City treatment.
Okay, you just made me hate everything for that last part of the sentence. But like that's Wizards' fault. Before that, you also mentioned something significant that is, I think, the first time we've seen, which is this is the first time a standard legal set has had all 10. Yes?
No, I don't believe so. I think it's happened before.
What other set had all 10 dual lands?
Temples didn't do it. 10th edition, yeah. Core sets sometimes did. Well, Painlands, yeah.
Yeah, Painlands.
Or no, 10th edition have Shivan Reef?
Yes.
It did, yes. It had all 10, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a bit of memory. That's a while ago.
Yeah. Temples were broken up. Shocklands were broken up.
Fetches were broken up.
Is there any cycle that had
weird BFZ cycle didn't get finished?
What about Kaldheim? Didn't Kaldheim do a full cycle?
No, Kaldheim and
Kaldheim and BFZ were not BFZ. ZNR like Zendikar Rising were
halfway
mirrored.
split. Yeah, all 10 being in the set is crazy.
I thought all 10 snow-covered duels were in Kaldheim.
Oh, those are uncommon.
Those are like common. Those are guild gates.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of. Ice Age had 5 pain lands and 5 depletion
going
lands.
Back to Ice Age, I think the discussion is ended.
This
is the first time in 20 plus years that we have had all 10 duels in a set, which I would argue normally, historically we've had the dual lands get printed in the set. They get very cheap because everyone opens the set. Wait, get your dual lands when they're cheap, and then after standard rotates, they will go back up. I think we have provided a decent enough arguments to suggest that won't happen with these.
Because these are completely separate sets. So people don't pay $4 for a play booster and get a 50-cent dual land.
Right. These are in a different slot than the rare slot, which is relevant. I'm not sure if you can also get them in the rare slot.
That was my question, was if you could double dip on them.
I'm going to open a bunch of product this week, and I'll tell you when I know.
Yeah.
But
if
in theory, that's not that bad. That's not a big deal. As long as you can, not open them in the rare slot almost as often. As long as you're taking a different slot, I don't mind this.
This is what people said they wanted.
Yeah.
They said they wanted full cycles in one set, but they also don't want to open a bunch of packs with their rares of land. So if you're this replaces a common or a list card is a dual.
No, it's a dedicated slot
for standard. Yeah, exactly.
It's a dedicated wildcard slot.
It's the wild. It's not even in the. It's not even in the list slot. It's in the wildcard. That's even
the list
better.
slot isn't a common slot.
Yeah. So as much as the play booster thing, we kind of got new coked with a price increase. I think there are some ways where the play booster is just going to make real estate cheaper, which is what everyone always complains about. How I want to play standard deck, but the mana base is too expensive.
there's always the other option of like either the dual lands are worth nothing because people opened a bunch of the product to make them cheap, or they're the only thing worth anything in the set, and this will solve both those problems. Like, I think it's better if the lands are cheap and the cool mythic is $20. Like, I think it's just better for perception, for the way people engage with the game.
Yeah.
And I think
and nobody wants to be like,
to
I was playing Boros for 3 months, and now I gotta play something else. I gotta buy 8 new 2-color lands for 8 each or whatever. It always felt real bad.
Do y'all remember, like, back when trading was a thing people did, you would, like, sit down and trade with somebody, and they'd start off with, like, I'll only trade lands for lands.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen anymore. No one cares. The expensive cards are Shieldred. The expensive cards are, like, Agatha's Soul Cauldron is like the second most expensive card in Standard or something.
There's one Meat Hook Massacre per set that they hope sells it.
And Meat Hook Massacre, notably banned in Standard. I actually was opening some Innistrad Midnight Hunt collector boxes because they were like $90 on a TCG Player or something. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'll buy 2 of those and crack them. That sounds fun. Open a Meat Hook Massacre and I'm like, oh cool, it's banned in Standard. And then my friend opened some Kamigawa packs, and in the same collector booster got an Invoke Despair and a Reckoner Bankbuster. I'm like, I get it. They extended Standard. I think it's overall positive, but it's just a deeply weird and funny situation.
Yeah, that doesn't happen too much. You were the outlier. Unlucky.
Yeah, and you got to.
What kind of sicko opens Midnight Hunt boxes?
What kind of sicko opens booster packs?
I love opening booster packs. It's so fun.
Is it?
I'm sorry, but like it's fun.
I like opening a small amount of booster packs.
Yeah, like I want to open like 20 packs at most.
Yeah, okay. I want to buy a pre-release kit worth.
Yeah.
LGS just sells them for $20 out the door, so it's sort of like, all right, here's my impulse purchase.
I got to open some really cool boosters recently, courtesy of DJ. Actually, I did some chaos drafts for a friend's birthday. Had like a plane shift pack in there. That was sweet.
Plane shift, nice.
Did you get anything good from those?
No.
Did anybody? Oh.
No. They were like duds, but we got to like, there was some pretty cool cards for playing with.
Yeah, for sure.
That was the whole point, right?
French plane shift, because that's what was there when I was there.
All right. Before we close out, we've gone from woodchipper racism all the way back to like very high level discussion about standard card prices.
Is that the TLDR you want people to leave with?
Yes.
Woodchipper racism?
Yeah.
And finance.
We weren't racist with the woodchippers. We weren't against woodchippers in a racist way. We weren't using woodchippers to do anything racist. What are you talking about?
We were implying there's a high correlation between people who are very, very invested in having a woodchipper and racism.
I mean, I consider myself...
Not a causation. Who wants to pick some weeks? Who wants a weak pick?
I want a weak pick.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
Cass, I believe yours was standard related, so
it is.
phasing out of the meticulous archive Undercity discussion.
So, notable Magic tube sock full of batteries sicko Aaron Barrage posted a deck list. A red-white aggro with the worst mana you've ever seen, a curve that didn't make sense, that she very easily won an RCQ with. And I tried it out on Moto, and I was playing some games with it, and I was like, wow, this deck fucking sucks if I'm not Aaron Barrage. But I played the card Sanguine Evangelist on turn 3 a bunch, and that card was so good that I actually won some games. And then I did some more playing with it. I played some more games with it. I built a different deck, a green-white tokens deck, which I used to almost win an RCQ this weekend. I made a metagame call surrounding it. Sanguine Evangelist is a white and 2 colorless for a 2/1 vampire with Battlecry, the only card in Standard with Battlecry. When it comes into play or dies, you make a 1/1 flying bat. Card is nice.
So that's just like a lot of value for 3 mana then. Like a ton of value for 3 mana.
And it just happens to be like the only Battlecry creature in Standard being this card is so weird, but it also is kind of cool. There's like that adds some texture to the pump spells. And the deck was really strong, and the best card on it was Sanguine Evangelist. And this card is a bulk rare. And this is the kind of card that I think is like among the most underplayed cards in Standard as it stands. And we've proven that Standard can push prices on cards recently, again.
Yes. We do live in a world where like, you can pick a Standard rare at $1, and then actually turn something out when it becomes 8 or 9. Like that is
because when only as much as standard players complain about how ubiquitous EDH, that was the only thing making money. So they turned the Eye of Sauron on EDH, and we're all like, please no, just make a regular number of cards. And they're like, EDH decks for every set. Oh, and we're like, wah! So yes, please focus on standard again. Give us a sane amount of EDH product. Give us cards incidentally, like, oh, this was okay in standard, but it's real good in EDH. I miss those days.
I will say, there very clearly is, like, an intentionality in WotC trying to push standard again. Like, I feel like they know how important it is. And having played the format, it being very good, the events being fun, people being excited about it, I really am hopeful that there is some amount of correcting the course. I'm not, like, naive. I don't think it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows, but, like, the fact that standard boxes are worth opening almost for average people is good. The format is also really, really excellent. And Card Sanguine Evangelist, bulk rare, could be worth money.
It's interesting to watch from a macro standpoint, the design, like, phases they go through, like teenagers with Hot Topic aisles of, like, oh, there was that one trendy time in 2020, 2021 where they really wanted to get EDH players to play standard, and that's how we got, like, 4-color Omnath Field of the Dead Golos piles. They're like, hey, you like playing big mana 5-color things, right, EDH players? Well, now you can do it in standard, and then they get 7 cards banned.
It's hard to make people want to buy core set boxes.
That's also not why they printed those cards. They printed those cards so that Commander players would buy booster boxes, and then they ruined standard.
That's fair.
Okay.
That's, like, my real take there.
I mean,
that's fair.
For whatever reason, it didn't go great, but it was also coincided nicely with the beginning of the pandemic. So
yeah, I will also say one of the things about standard that I think is really, really good now that people are gonna. It's like the guy standing up in City Hall. This is my unpopular opinion. Fire design is great for Magic because the worst thing in a game of Magic is when you have nothing to do, and like every card having flashback or being an adventure or having some activated ability. Yeah, there's more text on cards. Yeah, boards are harder to grok, but like, you don't just like draw your land and pass because you're like, oh, this sucks. You just get to like flashback your thing.
Right. And I think a level of there is a specific archetype of player that has kind of died as a result of that, but I'm not saying that's like the biggest loss in the world. Right. There is an archetype of player that really, really enjoys attritioning their opponent down to the last card and then smacking them with a 5/5 a few times, and like. That's really hard to do when Thoughtseize is, like, terrible because every card draws a card.
Right. People who like low-resource games do not have as many games like that anymore. But also, like, one of the worst things in Magic was how quickly games snowballed. And when all the cards are this good and they all provide this much value, games turn around a lot. Like, the best thing about Hearthstone was you could play a game that lasted, like, 6 turns beyond when you thought you were going to win. And it was just back and forth and haymaker after haymaker. And that swinginess is fun. The games are fun when you get to, like, your opponent plays a big bomb, and you just play a big bomb, and they play a big bomb, and you fight back and forth. That's people love EDH. They love playing their bombs. Mm-hmm. But instead of the bombs being, like, a 7-mana 10/10 that has trample and searches for 2 lands, it's, like, Virtue of Loyalty. It's a 2/2 that later becomes a 5-mana enchantment.
When you lose on turn 37 because on turn 7 you moved your pawn 2 squares instead of 1.
Right. Deck building is more important than ever. Having the right things line up with the right decks are more important than ever. I'm not saying Magic's more skill intensive because I don't feel like that's a call I get to make, but I do feel like the games are all better on average.
Yeah, it's fair.
Good.
All right.
Good.
Jason, you want to go throw a pick in there?
Oh, yeah. Harmonic Prodigy is too cheap. I don't understand why this is under $5.
That's Wizard Panharmonicon, I believe.
Yeah.
Wizard Shaman, I think.
I don't understand how it's under $5.
It's a Modern Horizons 2 card, right?
Yeah. But still, with the it's selling out places. The price trend looks like it's up. Get Harmonic Prodigy under 5, and when it hits 5, people are like, that was a bulk rare. Yeah, shit. So did I. When I was picking them out, and I was like, yeah, this is a card for real. And then just like the price stayed the same for 2 years, and I was like, I guess I don't know shit. And then Harmonic Prodigy is everywhere in EDH because it's amazing, and it can only be below $2 for so long. Right. All the stores that aren't TCG player are selling out under 2, and TCG players bumping things up toward 3. This is a $5 card, folks.
At some point, Modern Horizons 2 is going to be fully out of print, and this card's going to, unless they reprint it.
Which they easily could.
Right, but this is the kind of card that, like, if it dodges 1 or 2 sets worth of reprints at the right time, it's just, like, buku bucks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright, my pick would also be a very good pick for my Pick of the Peak minigame, but and it's one that's really weird to buy at a vendor table nowadays with the COVID time skip happening. But Fiery Islet is like $1.
Yep.
No.
Not like $1 when it's actually a 2 or 3. No. That is a $1 Magic card that got kneecapped from the Doctor Who decks, and it
Price peak is $49.99, by the way.
I peaked at 50, now it's a book?
The market price of a Fiery Islet with the Doctor Who art is 62 cents. And
Oh, well, what about without the Doctor Who art?
$4.
There you go. I paid the premium for all of my Innistrad lands to not have Doctor Who art, and I'm so glad I did it.
So they don't have Doctor Who art, you mean?
Yeah, so the Innistrad printings, the Shattered Sanctum stuff. I paid like $6 for my Shattered Sanctums, although actually Sanctum and Deathcat Blade are the ones that didn't get Doctor Who printings, but you get what I mean.
Yeah,
But
I pay 8 times for...
I mean, I am not a competitive Magic player, but blue-red decks do love to scratch for that one extra card every now and again.
Every format.
Yeah.
And one day they'll finish the cycle of this with the Horizon Canopy and Friends, and so there'll be even fewer of these that you need, but like...
3 of
man,
the 5
why is
bomb
Fiery
nets in
Islet
history
$1?
could
Like,
use this card.
The Doctor Who Commander decks, the supply's got to run dry those eventually. I don't know. Maybe the supply's over flooded and this is impossible, but like I just want to point out that Fiery Islet's $1. I've said this 8 times in the past 5 minutes. Like, yeah.
But it's insane.
It's a buy 9 get 1 free on that whole cycle.
Right.
Like the cycle's 10% off now.
I often talk to my friends about like, oh, you know, the Future Sight cycles are so cool. Nimbus Maze is such a sweet design. Rift Tears is so cool. And we always talk about like what happens if they finish the cycles. And I always thought about what would happen if they printed the blue-red Grove of the Burn Willows. And I thought about Legacy punishing Fire blue decks with Grove of the Burn Willows, and I just like they could never add another card to that cycle ever. They're also just like the best lands possible for decks that are not aggressive. It's
Combo
just
decks,
like
yeah, you just don't care about your opponent's life total.
Or even control decks. Like,
I'm at
imagine the blue black
29. Cool, you're at 29. I mill you out.
Right. But I think about like the Horizon land cycle is one they could definitely finish out and have it be fine. Red green's probably like one of the better ones, but whatever.
I like the idea of the Grove of the Burn Willow cycle, but using different resources. So like
the red black one gives them a treasure, maybe.
Like taps for blue or black, but your opponent gets a treasure, or like taps for blue or black, but your opponent like gets to put a card from their graveyard to your hand, and that lands insane on the first 2 turns of the game, but like gets worse progressively.
The blue red one lets your opponent scry 1.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually really like that. That's sweet.
Like it doesn't have to be life gain. It could be like tap your or taps for like 2 mana and your opponent draws a card, which is probably insane, but like...
And then you find some way to punish him for doing that.
Yeah, none of them can ever produce a creature, otherwise Oath of Druids is the best deck in Vintage.
Oh my goodness, yeah, you would just...
I have 8 Forbidden Orchards, go.
Yep.
Speaking of Oath of Druids, I want to tell a little story time, unrelated to mostly everything we've been talking about.
Everything we've been talking about is unrelated to everything we've been talking about.
Hell yeah, brother, that's the way I like it. I was playing Eternal Weekend Vintage Champs, and I was playing against Justin Gennari. I'm actually level 1, the person who holds the Vintage community on his shoulders. And I force a Vigor in game 1, his first 2 Oath of Druids, and he's like, kind of tilted about it. He draws his card for his 3rd turn, plays the 4th turn, plays the 3rd Oath of Druids off the top, and I'm just like, man. I draw for turn, play some shit, pass turn, he triggers Oath of Druids, and the first card he flips is the Mental Misstep top 8 promo that he won the weekend before at Eternal Weekend Asia. And he goes, ooh, that's a nice one. And I'm just like, man, I've never been flexed on so hard in my fucking life.
For those who don't know, there are a double-digit quantity of that Mental Misstep in existence, and it is a several $1,000 card.
24 copies, I think it's like $6,000 or something, and he won it the weekend before playing Vintage. Like, how much... He's better than me, his deck is nicer than mine, he top-decked on me. I get it, man, you're better than me.
Feels bad. It feels bad.
Regardless, it was a great match. It was a really, really cool, like, Atraxas battling Atraxas Nailbiter match, but made me think of it.
But things that feel good are this podcast coming to a close for the week.
Finally.
And with no Corbin here, we have nobody to do any semblance of a professional outro, so I am left standing alone on the battlefield to haul corpses off and end the podcast in a very slow...
We put the corpses in the woodchipper.
Yeah,
I
there we
didn't
go.
buy this
Full
fucking
circle.
thing to carry a bunch of body bags.
This podcast now sponsored by John Deere. Buy your wood chippers at John Deere.
Nothing runs like a deer.
John Deere's actually a subsidiary of Smith & Wesson, turns out.
I
would
believe
have
you.
expected Smith &
It's
Wesson
not
to be
actually.
a subsidiary of John Deere. I expected it to be the other way.
You can just say
John
whatever you
Deere
want
seems
on
like
the
it's
podcast.
got more money.
All right, Corbin will be back next week, everyone. We like to keep you on your toes.
Unfortunately.
Thank you for listening. This has been DJ, Jason, and Cass at Brainstorm Brewery. Hit the like and subscribe button. Click all the things in the description. Click everything in the description of the YouTube channel, no matter what JJ puts there. If it's blue, click it. If it's a link, click it. JJ, go.
Can I just tell people ad revenue industry-wide is down 20%. Everybody's cutting their sponsorships. Places that used to just give other websites thousands of dollars and like content creators thousands of dollars, everybody is puckering their buttholes right now. So it's never been worse to be making content since COVID started. It's bad and it's getting worse. If you want to help out your fellow content creators without, giving them money, one thing you can do is share their shit. Like, subscribe, retweet, upvote.
Proselytize.
Do the stuff. Get
You know,
us a
Jason,
new follower. It's $0 and it'll help us out a lot more than going to Patreon.
And Jason, when times are tight and our ads are being slashed and my butthole is puckered, nothing calms me down quite like a meal from Factor. Ready-made meals delivered to your door. Thanks for listening, folks. We'll see you next week.
You can fall asleep to this episode in your Casper mattress.
It's TV dinners, though. Like, it's Factor. It's TV fucking dinners.
It's not delivery. It's TV dinners from Factor.